You are now booted up and online. You are now in control of your primary operating system. You have chosen the AutoExec.Bat podcast. This show is a fan tribute to AMC's Halt and Catch Fire TV show. Not listening is an illegal operation and will result in a program process error.
Alright, welcome everyone to another episode of AutoExec.Bat. Today we are doing a blend of episodes where we're going to be talking about Callie and what was the name of the finale?
Heaven is a place on earth.
There you
That's
go.
my really bad Go-Go's impression.
So we're going to be talking about both of those episodes. We're blending them together. What happened was we didn't record last week because, unfortunately, I decided that, having a personal life over podcasting just, took over my priority system, and then I messed up the schedule for everybody, and so it's all my fault. So send all your hate email to Jesse. No, I mean...
Exactly. No.
No, to Dave.
No, so. we didn't have our antivirus software wasn't updated.
Oh, that's exactly it. We're waiting for Macmillan to send us an update to our antivirus, and there was like a virus thing and something that Matt had downloaded and then sent to the rest of us, and so we're going to blame him. So,
yes.
Yep. So on the show today, we've got Jesse.
Yes, tonight we are going to talk half-cooked Eggos, blank slates, losing your glasses, and moving to California. I'm excited.
Very cool. And Matt.
Hi, I have nothing to follow that up with.
But you're a guy that seems to like Eggos, though, right?
I do love Eggos, and I usually put peanut butter on mine.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I just sent a tweet out to the actress who plays Joni, Morgan Hinkelman. I said, to be fair, I don't like half-cooked Eggos either. When they're kind of frozen in the middle.
Right.
Now, she may have gone to the extreme, but hey, they taught her that on TV, Lego My Eggo. So she's like, hey.
Before we even jump into talking about the episodes, I have to mention this. We had 2 reviews on iTunes, specifically around our Halt and Catch Fire AutoExec.Bat show. So for those that aren't aware, the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel houses our AutoExec.Bat. Just in case you download the link via, not via iTunes and you go to a different source. But on iTunes, they're all together. But one of our fans, Rachel Oretta, she wrote, discovered 80s Reboot because of Halt and Catch Fire and stuck around for the 80s nostalgia. Always a fun discussion with these guys, no matter the topic. Highly recommend these guys are the best. #SaveHCF.
Nice.
So that she gave us 5 stars. So very much thank you, Rachel, for that.
Absolutely.
And then another one that's really cool is one that's by House of Black. Once again, 5 stars. Love the tech insight these guys bring to reviewing the show. It really enriches my understanding of what is going on. Recently, their whole riff on how Dell works was fascinating and made me see that Gordon's plan was headed for ruin, even if he wasn't ill. So I thought that was really cool that, some of the tech insight that we were throwing into some of the podcasts, House of Black like that.
Well, that is so nice. I know I am, and I'm sure I speak for the other guys, just humbled by such great praise. We love the show. We love talking about it. I'm sad that the season's over, and I am just, after these last 2 episodes, I just am desperate for a 3rd season. I already was, but, now then, right?
Of course.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely need a 3rd season because I just want to see where everything's going to happen, where everything's going to go. It just feels like a cliffhanger almost to me. I really want to continue Joe's story.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in Gordon and Donna, and are they where they're at, and and I just love that John, and we're kind of getting right into the deep of it, but I just loved he went to hell with it. I'm going to put it all out there and go for it, and I just love that.
Yeah, well, we've always been big fans of the John character.
Absolutely.
And, just the finale ended, right like we wanted it to for him, I assume. For me, at least for me, it did. He's back where he belonged. So.
Yeah, in fact, if this wasn't a TV show and John was, my best friend, I might have recommended, look, you're in, they're already impressed with you. I understand it's not perfect, but that's why they call it work. Hang in there, you can really be something important. But as a TV character, I love that he said, you know what, I'm missing the thrill. I'm missing the fun, and I think, I'm betting on Cameron and Donna that they can do something special with my help.
To get us, back on track and
yes, I'm sorry.
No. It was great that we kind of precursored it on how we felt, so it's fantastic. But the Callie episode, I mean, that one actually starts with the two of them shooting guns together. And then the Donna character even goes further in that episode. She's even like going after the WestNet guy, to try to get some sort of penance for them stealing their network.
And I really thought we would see a Joe photo on the target at the gun range.
Exactly.
I mean, didn't you?
Yeah, it sort of needed that.
Yes, it was. And, I've never gone to a gun range. My lovely bride has gone out camping, and they were deer hunting, and so they had, while they were taking a break, they put out some cans, and they did some handguns. And one of the scariest things I've ever heard is Linda came home and said, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. I liked it too much. I'm like, this is good then. Maybe it's good that you want to stay away from it, especially as many episodes of Snapped as you watched. Don't know if it's a good idea for you to get to be good with a handgun. Oh, but yeah, it looked great. The two girls, what a way to blow off steam, right?
Yeah, I think Cameron looked way too comfortable.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. But Donna looked like, this might be something I can get used to.
Yeah, very cool.
Another thing that I thought was kind of funny was, like I said, when she went after the WestNet group, and she was talking to, I forgot the character name, but the face man or whatever.
Yeah, it's Jesse, which I hate, because, that's my name. But yeah, Jesse is just being an arse to her.
Yeah.
I mean, he is giving nothing at all, and he's arrogant, and he's a jackass, and it's just, I mean, oh.
Yeah, well, they don't need anything from Mutiny, so why bother even talking with them?
And that this Jesse Evans is a bad guy because he spells his name Jesse wrong. He's got an I in it. It's just Jesse. So look, Mr. Evans, that's how a girl spells Jesse. So, or maybe you are spelling it right since we think you are not very nice.
Exactly. But yeah, there was something a little later on also with Jesse where he was interacting with Joe, and Joe is like, get off the stage. I'm trying to remember the exact quote, but I just thought that was really kind of funny where he was getting ready to do his speech. Or am I blending episodes?
No,
your word. It's the stockholders meeting. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, it's the stockholders meeting. I don't remember what quote he used either, but Joe is just tired of dealing with him, and he just
get off the stage before I throw you off.
Yeah.
They're one of the local sports station I listen to every once in a while make a joke, your story has become tiresome. We're going to hang up now. And it's how Joe's kind of like, your story has become tiresome. Goodbye.
I think my point is that there's a lot of great speeches and a lot of stand-up stuff for Joe in Cali. Where he gives that speech and then he does a shout out for Cameron. And then there was the dialogue he had with West Nile President. Come on, Dave. I had it up a minute ago.
Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob. And where he's talking about, I'll introduce you as the grandfather to our kids, and that's all they'll know of you.
Yeah, and in fact, it's really weird how much he's so good at talking. This has been consistent with his character. He knows that he can speak and he can sell and he can convince people. And I love the fact that Jacob gives it right back to him. When Joe starts threatening him and Jacob's just right back there. Really a nice give and take.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a lot of goodness for a lot of moments where Joe is like standing up and kind of understands how he got played from the earlier, and then now he's kind of getting his just desserts, and getting kind of even, if you will.
Yeah.
And having his stand-up moments in Cali. So for me, that was actually a very strong part of that episode.
Yeah, and at the end, kind of jumping ahead a little bit, as often, I think this is, from my perspective, one of the reasons I love the show so much, as Joe has been a bad guy often, and has salted the earth and been crazy. But at the end of Cali, I'm feeling sorry for him, because two things have happened that he's getting blamed for that he had nothing to do with. And no one believes him based on his past. But I feel bad for him, and you shouldn't, right? You should go, he's got it coming to him. But I think that's partly the writing, and I thought it's the greatness of Lee Pace. He's so charming.
Agreed.
This entire season has been about the redemption of Joe, and just at the end, just to have it yanked out from him right when he had everything is just the worst part of it.
Yeah, and if we could, if there's to jump ahead, and we talked about we'd probably end up doing this, but when he's making the pitch in the finale, the second pitch, not the first one.
Right.
I believe he's going scorched earth. I believe he's like, no one else is playing by the rules, so screw it, neither am I. And of course there's a twist, and he was, as always, doing something that manipulates and helps make a point. But I had totally bought into, like, no more Mr. Nice Guy, I'm tired of this, it's time to me to double down on being nasty.
What I like about Joe this season is he put his friends first before everything else, which he didn't do the first season. The first season was always about him and trying to show up as dad, and he realized that he can't do that now, so now he has to put his friends first before everybody else. And at the end of the day, it didn't even matter. He still didn't like him.
That's a great idea. And when Gordon talks to him about, you're a good man, it's just hard for us to see it. And I think Sarah brought that out in you. I do believe that she did. And I was sad that they ended up breaking up. I'm not necessarily a Cameron Joe shipper. I don't know if these two are good for each other. It's kind of like gasoline and fire put together. But and once again, it's just his redemption is a fascinating story.
Yeah, and I really had a hard time liking Cameron. I mean, that episode just put it on the cake. Just to dupe Joe like that was just plain evil.
Well, actually, I wanted to backtrack to that scene. Um, the scene where they kiss each other, Cameron and Joe. Now, assume you don't know you're watching this for the first time, you don't know what's going to happen. What did you want to have happen?
Honestly, I don't know. I didn't know what was going to happen after that point. I didn't expect them to plant the virus in the network somehow, which really sort of ticked me off. Magical computers of TV.
But, I mean, as far as, like, you know,
Whether or
would
not
you
I
have been
wanted them to,
okay?
if
Yeah,
they got
would you have
back
been
together.
okay if they would have gotten back together? Yeah, that's where I was going with that.
I think it probably would have been better drama, but it wouldn't have been believable if they got back together right then and there.
So I wanted what actually happened is what I wanted to happen. I wanted him to stay true to Sarah. I wanted him to resist the temptation. I mean, I think he still has feelings for her, but I think I wanted him to be the ethical Joe. I'm doing the right thing. I need to do the right thing, and let's see what's going to happen. And
See,
I feel
I never for an instant believed that Joe and Sarah belonged together.
okay.
And I thought that Joe was just trying to do the right thing. And I think he was losing his happiness at the same time. So them being together was probably a mistake for him. And I think Sarah recognized that.
Interesting. So I am, and of course, obviously, I bet on the wrong horse. I was, a Joe Sarah shipper. So, fearless leader Dave, you gonna break the tie?
I believe that Joe was kind of subscribing to what he believed he thought was his perfect life.
Okay.
He's looking at what's Gordon has, and he's like, okay, I think that's what I need. I need to have that family unit. I need to have in order to be happy. But for a Joe type person, that trying to be successful in business is going to trump his coupling with whoever that is. Now, you said earlier that you didn't think that him and Cameron made a good couple or were good for each other, I think you said.
Yes, sir.
And while I agree with that, I still want them together.
Okay, fair enough.
But you're right. The right thing to do at that particular case was to put the brakes on and say, no, I'm married.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what that's all I wanted to get that point out was, what did everybody think, think should have happened, I guess, or, not necessarily think what should have happened, but not knowing what was going to happen. What did you want to have happen? Shortly thereafter, Joe does his little shout out to Cameron at the stakeholder meeting, like we said. The one part about Callie that I absolutely really disliked a lot was the Gordon storyline.
Say again, did you like or dislike?
Dislike.
Okay, so go ahead, tell me why.
Just, the whole thing where he's lost trying to find his car. I mean, it just took so much away from me. I just, and we talked before where, him going back home and then cheating on Donna and all that, and that was all cliche and all that. But this seemed worse to me. It was kind of filler that didn't need to happen. We already know he's got issues. We already know he's got problems, but do we need a whole episode where he can't find his car?
It's okay, Matt. What do you think?
I didn't have a major problem with it. I think they needed to do it just to move it along so that everybody can try and help Gordon. Because Gordon wasn't allowing anybody to help him. Unless he had a mental breakdown like he did, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, now I really had a problem with his paranoia, and I think they went over the top with that an episode or two ago. This did not bother me as much. I just recently walked out the wrong door of a mall and realized, I'm in the wrong parking lot, and had to, kind of walk the long way outside to find the car. And I thought it was interesting at the end. He said, "Oh, look, there's my car." I think it was not a. I thought it was a pretty good way to show there's something else going on with him. So originally I thought they were going to kind of do, because wasn't there a Seinfeld episode where they couldn't find a car in a parking garage? I think that was one of the Seinfeld episodes, but this didn't bother me as much. I actually have more problems with him in Heaven Has a Place.
Okay.
Oh, I don't have a problem with either storyline at all. I thought it was a great piece of acting.
No,
Scooter.
I agree with you. I think he did a great job of acting it. Yeah, I agree, but I just think it was not needed. It was too over the top, just for the fact that, I mean, we already had him earlier in the season breaking into somebody's house because they thought he was stealing ideas.
Yeah, and
so we already know something's wrong with him.
And I thought he was going to get help after that, but then when they started the episode, it was just back to normal Gordon, and I was like, well, is anybody going to help this guy?
Yeah, Joe picks him up and takes him home, and everything's all good, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like,
yeah, that was interesting.
So then when they have the breakdown, I was like, okay, now we're going to get it. And then the trip in the ambulance was obvious that he's finally going to get the help that he needs.
At this point, Donna was already sympathetic to, his illness, but I guess that was just the way.
She didn't know how far it went, and she needed something, some kind of push to make it, to let her know that there's more deeper issues going on than just his tumor.
All right. Well, my only complaint is it didn't have to last a whole episode of being lost in a parking garage.
Yeah.
Okay. I would have bought it halfway through the
Yeah.
episode. So.
Yeah. Him falling down the stairs was a bit much to me.
But
I guess that's the only way you could get the ambulance there.
You kind of needed him crawling up the stairs and crying for help.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, you always want to, kick a man when he's down. So not only are you going to have him lose his car, but you're also going to have him break his leg or something.
Yeah.
That is Callie, I think. Unless there's something else, another point that you guys want to cover with Callie.
Go ahead, Matt.
Oh, I was going to say my magical computer complaints till the end, I guess.
Okay.
Just in general about the whole season.
So I was going to give our man John just props. He's in his suit. He gives Cameron the pep talk, and then when they're going to meet, because I got to give Cameron credit. She's like, our only asset is this game. If we can sell this game, we can get enough money to keep us alive, and we'll make another game. I screwed up by not selling Mutiny when I had the chance. So she's learned from her mistakes. And when they're trying to sell, John figures out what's going on. And I just love seeing Bosworth be Bosworth. He was Joe 1.0, right? I mean, he's like, oh boy, that's going to look bad. You guys, all this Japanese games, sure would be nice to have one from the good old USA. And we're just haggling price now. And it's just great to see him do what he does. And then, go ahead.
Selling fun time made in USA.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then when he tells Cameron, you know, I'm too old to eat 3 meals a day out of a toaster, and she said, well, I'm not going to let you talk out of it. And he said, I'd be disappointed if you did. And, at this time, and I've already talked about, as a TV show, I'm glad he's coming back. But I love that the character at least tried to say, my son has got me an opportunity. I'm going to go interview. Let me see what I can do.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that whole situation where they're selling the game. Yeah, I glossed over that completely. But you're right. That was actually a very good storyline, and it really showcased John Bosworth being Bosworth, just being the excellent sales guy that he is.
Oh, we didn't talk about the other important part of the episode is where Joe and Sarah break up and Cameron and Tom break up at the same time.
Very true. And, so, I mean, the Sarah breaking up with Joe, was that because she felt that, he still had feelings for Cameron?
Oh, yeah, it was obvious.
Yeah.
It was all over
Yeah.
Joe's face. I mean, that was a brilliant piece of acting by Lee Pace.
Yeah, and I love how she said, if you could see your face when her name is said, very, very cool.
But yeah, I agree. Lee Pace has just been knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. Emmy nominated.
Yeah, boy, this is tough to do because it's a little bitty AMC show, but it is just a really interesting, and they've really... the nice thing is, and I guess we'll talk about this some more, but a lot of critics have got behind the show and have said that they think, the second season they've really found their niche. So, yeah, it's good, and I will tell you, at the end of this season, Callie, I am depressed, and I feel bad for Joe, and so it was interesting to have that mindset going into the finale. That, I was hopeful that Gordon had admitted he need help. I really was worried about Joe, and so kind of going into that was my mindset. And I watched the episode live. I tend to watch almost everything DVR. I don't know about you guys. But I was on Sunday night, and I live tweeted, 10 or 15 minutes behind, because I have to pause while I'm typing. I can't type while I'm listening because I'm worried I'm going to miss something. And so I was sharing beforehand, the two Chris's, one of the Chris's, retweeted a couple of my things, and so it was kind of fun to watch it live and had other people, talking to me about it, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, that's really cool. Really cool to do the live tweeting, and especially around the finale. So yeah, that one get a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
But getting off of the Callie, I mean, when we were leaving that episode, there wasn't a lot of goodness there as far as where people were, because at that point we had John leaving Mutiny. And we didn't know what was going to happen with him, other than we knew he was going to some other opportunity, and we had one episode left. Tom breaking up with Cameron, because of the game. And then, Sarah and Joe, breaking up or broke up.
Tom broke up with Cameron because he knew that Cameron was still in love with Joe.
Oh, so it wasn't around the game.
No, it had nothing to do with the game.
Oh, I don't know. I think...
I thought it was because he was contributing significantly, with her to build up or create this game, and they invested so much time, and then she ended up selling without getting his approval.
Yeah, that was contributing to her, but the way she kept talking about Joe and reacting around Joe, I think he mentioned it too.
And I think a big part of it is that she's so driven, and she has been hurt by so many people that when he's on his bike and says, "Oh no, you did this all by yourself." I think he's tired of her not letting him in, not sharing, not discussing.
She essentially became Joe.
Yeah, she did. And I think she may think that's the only way she can survive.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So now, Matt, you were saying that you've kind of fallen out of favor of liking Cameron, even more so as the seasons progressed. Is it because of that she's becoming kind of Joe's season 1?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then this episode, she did a Joe action. I mean, she basically used Joe to get the virus on the network. There was I don't even think she was honest with him in that whole confrontation. I think she was just playing him.
But if he would have been, after their kiss and then said, "You know what? No, let's run off together. I love you, whatever." Yeah. Then does she not give him the disc?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, we're not going to know, right? So,
I think she would have. I think at this point she was. Her and Donna, we find out later, right, that Donna was just as involved with this. I think that was her plan. I think that's what she wanted to do. And so, yes, I think it didn't matter what he did. She had her plan laid out,
and she was going to play him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can believe that.
Yeah. I think even if he had said, "Yes, I love you, and let's go to California together," she wouldn't have believed him.
No.
Yeah.
She just would have found a different way for him to use the disc.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the disc was genius, right? I mean, because it totally made sense. I did not see this coming. Where she's like, "This is what it could have been," and talk about, stealth viruses, right?
Yeah. Don't get me started.
Okay, all right. I think we are setting up for a matatorial.
Yeah. TV shows and their magical computers that can do anything.
All right, so I think that's going to put us right into Heaven is a Place.
So, do we want to give our ratings for Callie?
We can if you want.
I just because I wrote one.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's see where that ended up.
Yeah. So I would give it on our scale 1 to 3. Remind us about the kilobytes.
Well, bytes are our lowest common denominators, and then we move up to a kilobyte, and then we go to a megabyte.
Okay. So I would give it a megabyte, the top, and then I would give this 9.5 eggs with green chilies.
All right. So then where are you at, Matt?
I'm giving a megabyte 2 and about a 8 impossible computer viruses.
You see, I'm low on the totem pole on this one, and it's because of the Gordon aspect. So I'm going low end of our middle range. So it's a low kilobyte for me.
Okay.
I liked everything that was going on besides that, but I just felt that was just lasting way longer than it had to. So, and once again, I haven't even given any thought to throwing into the other scale. So I'm sorry, guys.
No.
It's okay.
That's my shtick. You don't have to do it. All right, so we go to the season finale. Hopefully not the series finale.
Exactly.
Because we need more time with these people. So, okay.
Specifically in California. Because it's the way they ended this. I don't want to say the series. I almost said series.
Yeah.
The way they end the season, you want to see where that goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Unfortunately, I just didn't really take any notes during the finale. Did you guys?
So it just so happens.
I don't take notes. Never take notes.
Matt shoots from the hip.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thankfully, our fearless leader, and just to kind of pull back the curtains, what I usually do is I watch the episode the first time, normally on Monday or Tuesday, and then we record usually on Wednesday nights, and I watch it again on Wednesday, taking notes. So Dave said, "Hey, I didn't have any notes," and I said, "Okay." So I just watched the episode, made some notes. So yeah, this virus has caused a lot of problems, and we have Jesse with the name spelled wrong telling Joseph Wheeler about everything that's gone wrong, and he kind of cut to the chase, and they talk about millions of dollars they lost, and he says, well, the board legal believes it's Joe's fault, but I don't think there's anything we can do. And Wheeler says they're going to be looking for a scapegoat. And the next thing we see about the storyline is a photo of saying Wheeler out at West Group. So Cameron got her revenge really well.
Yeah.
Now, when you're that high up in the company, I'm sure there's a golden parachute, and financially you're fine. But when you're that high up too, there's a ego thing. You like being, head cheese, and you don't want to see, you don't want to lose power.
No, and this is the one part of the whole season that just kind of ticked me off. Is I don't know why James Cromwell was in this season at all, because he basically had nothing to do all season. It just ticked me off so much.
Interesting. I don't know if I'd agree with that. Dave, how about you?
You didn't see him as being the puppet master, around them stealing the idea from Mutiny and making it WestNet.
Yeah, but he had no dimension to him. He's just a two-dimensional villain for the entire season. I would have had some kind of more motivation behind him, or some kind of, some type of conscience or something to give him, because he's a really good actor and he had basically nothing to do.
Now that I agree with you. I think he was he was the MacGuffin, to drive the series. That this is, it gave Joe the idea. We got him. He ends up being the bad guy and kind of driving Cameron and Donna to find their own role. And so I think he was very important, and I think having an actor of that much depth playing the bad guy is a good thing. But if you're going to tell me and make the point that you do, that he had no depth and he had no shading, which is what this show is about, I think that's a fair complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely needed to give him a little more interaction to, flex his evilness.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And it would be really kind of fun to see a Wheeler kind of, bopping his head into a season 3 and messing with Joe.
Yeah.
Trying to get even for that.
We find out that Sarah has divorced Joe, and he's driving. I don't know what time of year this is in Dallas, but all I could think is I hope it's not the summer when he's driving that old Jeep or kind of Range Rover with the windows down. I'm like, it was 104 today in Dallas, so it's it's freaking hot. And he really wants to talk to Sarah, and he doesn't get the chance. And there's the divorce papers. It's just signed, and slam bam, thank you, sir. You are now a free man, and your chance of happy ever after is gone, at least for now.
And like I was saying, I think, he was in his mind thinking that's what, was supposed to be a perfect world for him. But, he's just trying to get into the ideal world of, that, having the perfect family, the perfect wife and all that, and the little house and the picket fence, that's what he, is happiness for him. But that's not what a Joe person, a person like Joe, that's not, going to make him completely satisfied.
No.
He's going to be the king of the world, and then that's where Joe's happy.
Yep. That's what my wife pointed out too, that these types of people, they always are driven and they're always moving forward. They don't stop. So he can probably never settle down.
Yeah, I believe he is always looking for something. I thought it was an interesting, Telenet is the new networking partner. Themes seem to go pretty well. They make a joke that they don't even know the name of the person they're talking to over there. But they fax over, I guess, the latest bill, and they're upcharging them. And Donna says, hey, that's just because we're successful. Of course they are. And, we're going to go back. You got to play the dance. And Cameron says she wants to change the music. Now, my first instinct, and I really like to hear what you guys think, is, come on, Cameron, can you let it go? Can you not just be happy for one frickin' moment? I really was bothered by this, that, it seems like... Go ahead.
I wasn't bothered by it at all. I thought
good.
It was brilliant.
Oh, very nice.
Finally a smart business move.
Well,
it's like it took you all the whole season to make a smart business move.
Dave, how about you?
It was kind of like a complaint, but at the same time, it's Cameron trying to make Mutiny bigger than it is, and trying to think ahead, and trying to be the mistress of her domain. If you pardon the expression. But it was a good business move, and I love the way that played out.
Yeah, I ended up.
Go ahead. Yeah, if you go back to previous episodes, I think 3 or 4, when they're sitting around talking about the games, and she kind of just throws out, like, here's the latest chapter, their adventure game. Like, in that episode, she's not progressive at all. The entire season, she hasn't been progressive at all. Finally, at the end of the season, she's progressive. She's thinking ahead. Otherwise, she was just spinning her wheels just to stay afloat. So and she's thinking that she just makes the games and they'll just come along anyway.
I understand that at the end, but at the time when I first saw it, my thought was, she just keeps whining. She just keeps whining. Now, I agree, and we had Chekhov's mainframe, right? It's mentioned in the first part of the show, and later it comes back to be, the magic mainframe that's going to move the series to California and fix a marriage. And I agree, it's genius after a while. But at the time, I just was like, come on. So I should not have been doubting it. So I think that's really cool that she is thinking that. And, you are right. She made a good business decision, and we're going to see what happens. Next thing we run into is Gordon is in group. And he is not engaged whatsoever. And this is where I got mad. I was like, okay, he says in the hospital, I need help. I mean, this has only been a couple of months, right? I it can't have been that long. And he's already, my stress level is 0.28. So,
just love that answer.
Yeah. Because, the rest level, I said, by the way, as I live tweeted, that the number one item on my stress journal would be worrying about Halt and Catch Fire getting a 3rd season. So, and the counselor, okay, we'll work with this. And I was really impressed with the counselor, right, that he's kind of talking to him why are you stressed? What's going on? And the moment they tried to get, are you worried your disease is going to get better? Is it worse? Is that why, you momentarily panicked you couldn't find your glasses? He just bites off of them. So, Gordon, arsehole, yay or nay? That's the easiest question you're going to get all night.
I'm going nay. I've always been a Gordon sympathizer. I think he's always buried his stress below everything else, and he won't let it out.
Okay, interesting. Dave?
Like I said, my biggest complaint are kind of the stories that have been, that he's been involved in, based on, the acting, based on, kind of the trials of Gordon. I could see where why he ended up that way. So I could definitely sympathize, and I'm not, condoning, being a jerk, but at the same time, I get it.
Okay, very interesting. We have the worst breakfast ever. Joni isn't happy with her frozen Eggo. She may have acted out just a little by throwing her Eggo. They talk about how bad California went. And Gordon is freaking clueless. Hey, we're out of orange juice. And there's no coffee. And then walks back out. It's like, wow, you are you are not engaged in therapy. You're not engaged at your family. What is wrong with you, dude?
Yeah, but to be fair, he just walked in, so it's not like you just walk in and everybody's having a meltdown. It's kind of hard to comprehend what's going on.
And that's a priority if there's no coffee. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, but he could make coffee. He's the one not working. He couldn't go to the grocery store if they were out of orange juice. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I'm stuck on no coffee. So.
Yes, absolutely. Now that is true. Yeah. We see Joe meeting with Stokes Capital.
Oh my God, I love this scene.
It was great, right?
Great scene.
Yeah.
He's just pitching away, and he's talking, and they're like, after a while, hey, look, dude, we aren't going to give you any money. We just took the meeting because we want to hear, did you really do this? Can you give us the dirt?
Yeah. We just what was the line? We just wanted to meet a psychopath.
Yeah. And just to see Joe's reaction, just like, wow, I can't believe I just wasted my breath. And just get up, walk out. And it was just priceless that, the only thing that was missing was them kind of, elbowing each other. Go, listen to this guy.
Yeah.
I can't believe he's still pitching us. Hold on.
Yeah, and it, it's just, which was a great setup for the payoff at the end, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful scene. And once again, you're going, man, Joe's in a bad place. And I do agree, Lee Pace is looking like, I am effed. I have nowhere to turn. I may be able to get hired as an assistant manager at Radio Shack. And not one of the mall stores, one of the standalone stores, or something. Or I don't know. Maybe the standalone store is more prestigious than the mall stores. I can't remember which. One or the other is. As we do an outdated, since Radio Shack is now going bankrupt. But at the time, it was the place. So,
especially in the 80s.
Yes. Yeah. So Cameron wants to drive a submarine, which I love the way that Donna talked about. That's her version of finding a mainframe. And it is almost like an old joke. Well, except for that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you like the play? I mean, she's like, oh, it's in California. It's still on tape. It's 10 years old. It's more money than we have. How would we move it? What would we do? And Cameron's like, yeah, I'm not saying there's not problems, but except for that, don't you think it's a great idea?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Haven't you ever, done that, like at a work situation where you just kind of get married to an idea and you overlook all the obvious things just because you in your brain it's the right thing to do?
All the time.
Absolutely. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the movie a few years ago when it was one of those. Oh, I'm trying to think of the name of it. Love Actually. That has all these different stories, and Liam Neeson played a stepfather to a young kid, and the kid's got this crush on a girl, and he's like, I have a plan, Dad. And he's like, okay, what's your plan? She's crazy about musicians. So there's going to be a Christmas pageant. So I'm going to make the pageant, I'm going to be the drummers. She's going to see me drumming. She's going to fall in love with me, and everything will be great. And Liam Neeson says, that is a great plan. That is a perfect plan. One little thing, you don't know how to play the drums. And the young kid goes, psh, like minor detail. Oh, yeah, we got this.
Yeah, that's definitely the Cameron world right there.
Yeah, so it's wonderful to see this. Then we cut to one of my favorite scenes. Waylon Jennings blared. Music is usually in the background on this show. And this one, Lukenbach, Texas, blaring through the garage. And Gordon's putting together a train set. And Joe comes to see him. And they have a really nice, I think, heart-to-heart. And you almost feel like Joe's saying, I'm going to put on the dress blues from A Few Good Men and No Funeral, right?
Well, I want to go back to the song, though. I hadn't heard that song in forever. And talk about, hearing a song and it just taking you back to, your youth. I mean, that did it for me.
Absolutely. It was amazing to hear that. I was not living in Texas at the time. I was living in Louisiana, right next door. It came out in 1977, so it would not hit our 80s discussion, right? But I was a senior in high school, and it just was everywhere, on all the charts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just my dad was into the country music thing, and so because whenever one of your parental units is into a certain kind of genre of music, that's what kind of gets drilled in your head. So mom was around the oldies rock and roll, and
Yeah.
dad was country. So I definitely had heard Lukenbach, Texas, just many a times and loved it.
Yeah, my dad loved Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings and Hank Williams, and I knew a little of Jerry Jeff Walker, mostly London Homesick Blues and Redneck Mother, and so all the different references in the song it's just a really great song.
Yeah, I think if I were to, be in my garage, had that playing, of course I'd have to try to find a train set, right, to just complete the moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's pretty cool that he's sitting there, he's got the garage open, he's blaring out a little Waylon music, and he's going to put together the train, and then here comes Mr. Trouble.
Yeah.
Anything about their discussion we need to cover?
I can't even remember what they discussed in the garage, to be honest.
Well, he gave him a little piece. I did not understand.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
He gave him a little piece of the giant,
right?
Or no, the IBM chip that they got the BIOS off of.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The one they had reversed the engineered on. Yes.
Yeah.
Joe's kind of worried about it. I mean, Joe's moved on. Gordon's worrying about him. Donna and Joe that night have a major fight, and this was uncomfortable.
That's scene in the whole show.
Yeah, and he blurts
Just all
out
that pent up rage between the two of them and all their lies covering up.
Yes.
And it's just played out across their faces. It's just a acting 101. Like, this is how you act, people.
I totally
Everybody
agree
that
with
wants to
you, Matt.
become an actor, watch this.
Yeah, it was so raw and so real, and he blurts out and blames her, for his indiscretion, which is totally wrong. But I understand where he's coming from, and she's blaming him for lying and keeping secrets, though she does not give up her big secret.
Did you notice that she was like almost immediately after he blurts out that he had an affair, they show her and she's kind of clutching her stomach?
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah.
I agree with you. A great scene, very raw, very powerful. It was just so great, and and their daughter's upset and worried, and that gives us a payoff too. And I think just as powerful, but in a smaller, softer way, is Donna and Cameron's discussion the next morning. I don't know if I can save my marriage, and I don't know if I want to.
Yeah.
And that is so real and so honest. And what's Cameron say? I hate to bring this up now, but the coffee pot's broken, so I think we should move to California.
Once again, back to coffee. Very important.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, Carrie Bechet she was so awesome in that whole thing. Besides Scoot, but I mean, the way she, that ride that she went down, with the argument, and then, the, what she's saying to Cameron and the little speech there, and and then later on when she's, I don't want to say playing Gordon, but where it's like, here's how we're going to save this marriage. So I mean, it is quite the ride, for that character, and Carrie Bechet just owns it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love her honesty. When we kick back that, Joni's missing, they're all worried. Gordon is, I didn't do this. I didn't do this. Please no. And I feel his pain and his worry, right? And when they have the discussion, and is this, not, he didn't call it blackmail, extortion.
Right.
And she's like, it may not be a perfect plan, but it's all I could come up with. And I heard this a long time ago, and I use it a lot at work. If mine's the only plan on the table, it's the best plan. I actually think she's got a pretty good plan.
I think it's an excellent plan because they were perfect together when they worked together. Yeah, I think that's the only way they can save their marriage is that they work together.
Yeah, and her point of, I don't think it's working, one of us chasing the dreams and one of us holding the kite, or whatever. And
yeah.
And I think they were never better when they were together. I think that, to use the poker analogy, she's saying, let's go all in. Let's go all in on Mutiny. Let's go all in on our marriage. We're going to go to California. We're going to take almost everything we made off Cardiff, sell, and we're going to invest it in Mutiny. And with you and I and Cameron working together, I believe in it. And now that you know that John's going to be there, you go, okay, I'll bet on those 4. That's 4 of a kind that I'd bet on. That's a good team.
I agree to the point that but one point is she's not all in, because she hasn't been completely honest. And she's been allowed to keep that secret of hers. And I'm waiting, I was waiting for that to, come back. I don't know if I like the idea of, if this was a series finale, that, that's still hanging out there.
Yeah, and what a great
stuff hanging out there.
Yeah, what a great scene at the end, jumping ahead, when he mentions, she says, I was worried about pulling him out of school, losing all their friends. They're the happiest people on the plane. And Gordon says, I think we can be happy again. And she smiles, and he says, and maybe another one. And she, behind her eyes, crushes and goes to the restroom and starts crying,
Right.
Heartbreaking. And see, I don't think she should ever tell him. I think they've made a fragile peace and they've started healing. And I think telling him that statement would rip the Band-Aid off again and expose the wound, and I don't know if it would heal.
Yeah, but why is he allowed to do that to her, but she can't do that to him?
I just think if this gives her moral superiority, or knowing that, or maybe she can that's one of the ways she can forgive him is, yes, he betrayed her, but I betrayed the marriage as well in a different way. I don't know. I just don't know if that's a smart thing to do.
Right.
Yeah. I think if the time to be totally honest was either like when she's talking about their plan, she's like, and the only way this is going to be good is if we get everything out on the table, so I need to tell you this. But I think once she's skipped that, I don't know if you can go backwards. At least that's how I feel for it.
I could agree with that.
Okay. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying that's how I see it.
Yeah.
We kind of skipped a little bit. Gordon goes sees Joe, and he gives him a disc that's named after a Buffy the Vampire Slayer episode. Thank you. Tabula rasa means blank slate in Latin. He says, and I'm sure I said the Latin phrase wrong. He explains that this fixes the virus, and it can't undo any of the damages, but I've really beefed this up, and it's pretty good, and, maybe you can go back to Westwood and try to make things better so you can move forward.
Yeah.
And I got
the other part is that Gordon goes out and tells Joe that he's a good man.
Right. Joe needed to hear that. We also get in fact, we're over halfway through the episode and we hadn't seen John, so I was unhappy, but we got a great scene of him attending some kind of Chamber of Commerce or, muckety-muck sales meeting. I'm not sure, but he's telling great stories and everyone's talking about how it's only been a month, but he's already, kicking butt and taking names. And, there was a reason why John was so high up in Cardiff, and we've seen that all season long. When he went to the kid's house and talked to the mom, when he talked, like just in Cali. So he obviously has talent, but I love that scene where everyone else is laughing when the guy tells the story about throwing coffee on the board, saying, "Hey, is that black enough for you?" And John's like, "Do I really want to do this shit?" And sorry, didn't mean to curse, but it's that whole Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this junk. And it's like going, do I really want to be here? Do I want to be in hear these old stories and do this?
I saw it another way. That
okay, please.
After he's, they start talking about John and brings his son over, and they pretty much just focus on John. John realizes that he's overshadowed his own son, and I think he's kind of hurting his son by being there.
Ooh, interesting. I had not thought of that.
Yeah, I didn't see that angle either. That's a great perspective.
That is a great perspective and makes us like Bosworth even more.
It does.
Because he's already given up his baby, his Mustang, which, a certain person of the podcast didn't think was that big of a deal. But,
still cliche.
Yeah, I like that thought, Matt, because it's true. I mean, they're saying, "Hey, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have had your dad." Yeah. And I'm sorry, I'll make this very quick, but I think it's really appropriate. I was working at a company, and my son started working there, and he was in the support team, and he had been there about a year and a half. He'd actually spent 3 months in Manila helping us to start a new support team. And when he came back, a couple people still were saying, well, the only reason Chris is doing well is because he's Jesse's kid. And he went and kind of reached out to some friends he had made outside the company, and he went and talked to a couple of, he ended up getting an interview with some executives, and he said, as long as I'm support, I'm going to be in Dad's shadow. And I want to go someplace where I will be out of my dad's shadow. And he did, and he's doing great, and really proud of him. So I really think you're onto something. I think John looked at this. I was really making a difference with these young people. I love Cameron. I think Cameron is a second daughter to him. And when he failed James and James's brother, he talked about being a bad dad. I think this is a way for him to talk about redemption. He can be a father figure and be a good person and make a difference. And that gives a chance for his son to shine. I think you really got something great there.
Yeah, I didn't see, I missed that completely because I had thought, maybe he just came to the realization that, he had something great at Mutiny, and at that moment it kind of snapped in and going, okay, I'm just in the wrong spot. But yeah, Matt, your perspective there where, he's listening to the dialogue and they're, what they're saying about his son.
They're almost dismissive of the son completely.
Right, and yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and yeah, makes even more Bosworth fans than I was.
Yeah,
If that was even possible.
Yeah, exactly. We Joe talks. He waits 3 hours in the waiting room of Stokes Capital, and the guy who was such a jerk to him before, I was wondering how long you'd wait. And Joe just calmly walks in, puts in the floppy disk, and loads a virus on their system. And I'm sure that Matt has something to say about that. And then makes a great pitch. Talks about building walls, protecting yourself, and closes with real security is trusting no one. And I really did think he was going to blackmail them, or kind of, because he's talking about, I'm not going to follow the rules because no one else did. I tried to be a good guy, and it didn't get me anywhere. But instead, this is just an elaborate pitch, and he gives.
No,
you don't think so?
That Gordon gave him the antivirus program, I knew Joe. You could just see him the way he was holding it, thinking about what he can do with it, and I knew he was going to try and sell it somehow.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was a great pitch. It obviously worked because Joe is thrilled. Calling Gordon, wants to celebrate, and he wants him part of this.
Yep.
But as usual on this show, timing sucks. Because Donna had already laid out her ultimatum that if we stay here, we aren't going to make it. You're going to work for Mutiny.
And badmouth Joe already, too.
We
forgot to mention that.
Absolutely. She's like, he has trouble. We should stay away from him always. So what do you guys feel about that?
I was happy for Joe to offer Gordon the piece. And I was actually happy for Joe to start this antivirus company. Because I'm just thinking to next season. I'm like, please let it be like John McAfee. Please let him be like John McAfee.
Yeah, and
he actually started the X-Files though. Trust no one. He used the catchphrase. So.
And I know he won't, but I wish Joe would give Gordon a piece of this new company. But he's not going to. Yeah, he tried. But I would still do it. I would say, but I think Joe's gotten past that. I think it would have been nice for him to say, I built this off you, and even though you're not involved, 10% of the company is yours.
That
But
might be something that comes up if season
yeah,
3 gets done.
right. Cameron goes. Go ahead.
But I honestly think that Joe just felt just burned at that point.
Oh
Like
yeah,
he's tried everything right
yes,
this season, and he's done everything right this season, and it doesn't work.
yeah.
And just that last conversation with Gordon is just like, fine,
Screw it.
screw it.
Yes, I agree with you. Cameron goes to visit Tom. For some reason, I want to keep calling him David, but and my notes, Com gives David a plane ticket. And I think this is another sign of her growth. She's telling him she needs him and she wants him. And she didn't. I don't think she ever would have been Julia Roberts in Notting Hill, right? I'm just a girl standing here asking a boy to love her. But she did her version of it. We're going, and here's a ticket. And even if you don't want to come, it's a free plane ticket. I don't have much time. Or maybe it's just enough time, you know? Everyone's getting on the plane. Their theme song is California's the place you ought to be, so pack up the truck and move mutiny.
Love that.
Everyone's getting on the plane. By the way, I saw on Twitter this was the set that the original Airplane movie was filmed on. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's cool if it is.
Oh, that's very cool.
And Cameron keeps staring at the door. And you see her waiting. And what a great thought of filmmaking when everyone starts applauding and it's John, not Tom. And he's got his cowboy hat on, and he's got his little Western shirt, and he's like, I guess it's time to move to the left. You ready for this, boss girl? And just a great ending. But it wasn't. I know we got to get short. We end with Joe in California taking this huge space where he's going to build a new company. So season 3.
And Gordon finds out about it.
Yes.
Gordon finds out about it on the plane, too.
Yes. Which things happen really quick, right? I mean, you want to talk about magical computers, magical magazines where, Wheeler is out and it's on the front cover of a magazine so quickly. California Calling. Season 3, all our players will be in California, and we'll see what happens. So let's go around the table and finish up. Any last thoughts or comments?
This has been a vast improvement over the first season.
Okay.
Far and wide. It's been an amazing season. My only main complaint is it's a show about computers, even though you don't have to be an egghead to like the show, and I totally agree with that. Please treat the computers with a little bit more relevance.
All right, we're going to put a pin on that. I suggest I'm going to do some producing on the air. I think we record next week and do a season wrap-up. We'll kind of pick our favorite episodes, our MVP of the season, least favorite episodes, least favorite storylines, and we will give Matt time to do his Mattatorial. Are you guys okay for that? You guys think that'd be good?
I think that'd be awesome.
Good.
All right, so why don't we do that? So let's give our ratings. I'm going to give this a megabyte, and I'm going to give it 10 out of 10 2 desk drawers, because you can't do accounting with only one drawer in your desk. You got to have 2 drawers on your desk if you're going to do accounting.
Oh, perfect.
I'm a megabit too, and it's 10 out of 10 antivirus programs.
Nice. And Fearless Leader?
And I'm with you guys, megabyte all the way. Very great story. I love what ends they did tie up. It ended where I want to see what's next for these guys. And I think that's exactly where it needed to be is, doing some sort of closure, but at the same time, leaving the door open where we go, hold on, what's behind that door?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Dave.
So-
I hope this isn't the final episode, but they gave us enough closure that if it is, I mean, I will be unhappy, but I think they at least closed this chapter.
Right.
But there's there's so much more story to tell.
But I'm with you guys. I'm megabyte all the way. So then we're graduating it to a gigabyte because all of us felt that strongly about it.
Right. And so what we're going to do, dear listeners, is we'll throw together an agenda. We'll let you guys know. Please tweet us, email us about your thoughts. And what we'll do, we'll come up with kind of a top episodes, burst episodes, best character kind of things that I'm going to cheat and use the same format we do when we do a Castle wrap up. So I can do that for us guys because I'm used to doing that. Where can we find everyone?
On Twitter at 80s Reboot.
Good. And I think you have a top 1988 movies episode coming out pretty soon, don't you?
Oh, we certainly do. Oh, man, that was so much fun.
I am sorry I missed it. I just heard the One Hit Wonders. Thank you for the shout out. That was a great episode. Please check that out in our feed. Matt, how about yourself?
I'm on Twitter at MattMcLean73.
And I am at Jesse Jackson, DFW. And if you want, every once in a while, about once or twice a week, I get tweeted as if I'm the Reverend Jackson, which is always a fun tweet for me to read. So we need to cut it off. We are hitting almost an hour and a half. So much fun, but we've got more discussion to talk. Save HCF.
Yes.
Hashtag.
Yep.
Yeah. And for now, we're going to Control-Alt-Delete, and we will see you soon.
Good night. We hope you've enjoyed this show. This podcast is part of the 80s Reboot Overdrive channel on Southgate Media Group. You can follow us on Facebook on the 80s Reboot group page. We're also on Twitter and Tumblr at 80s Reboot. We invite you to check out all the wonderful podcasts and blogs available at southgatemediagroup.com. And thank you for reliving the 80s.